Hello, welcome to my Slow English podcast. I put all my videos together in one so you can listen wherever and whenever you want. Listen while you try to fall asleep. Listen while you get ready for work. Listen while you go for a walk or exercise. And remember, try to listen first and repeat second. And try to challenge yourself and don't read the subtitles. Follow and like this video for more slow English. Enjoy! Today, I will be talking about sleep and rest. Today, I woke up late. Not early, but late. I woke up around 10 a.m. I was so sleepy. I went to bed last night around 11 p.m. and I woke up at 10 a.m. That means I had 11 hours of sleep last night. I usually don't sleep that much, but last night I was really tired. I usually have a lot of energy and I don't need too much sleep. But lately, maybe the past 3 days, I have been feeling very tired and sleepy. I haven't had so much energy lately. So I take care of myself and I try to get as much rest as I can. Like one of my students said, a good night's sleep is only half the battle. So as long as I get a good night's sleep, I think everything else will be perfect. And luckily, I could sleep in late this morning because I didn't have any early morning lessons to teach. I could sleep in late because I didn't have work. But otherwise, I normally get up at 8 a.m. to teach every morning. And it's so frustrating sometimes to fall asleep. Sometimes it's difficult for me to fall asleep at night. I just lay in bed and I wait and I wait, but I can't fall asleep sometimes. And it's especially frustrating when I have an early class in the morning. When I have to wake up early because then I don't get my full 8 hours of sleep. And without my 8 hours of sleep, I can't function. I can't go to the gym or teach my lessons or hang out with my friends if I don't get my full 8 hours of sleep. How many hours of sleep do you need? Do you get enough sleep? I try to sleep early, like 10 p.m. is early for me, but on the weekends, like Saturday and Sunday, when I don't work, I go to sleep around 2 or even 3 a.m. sometimes. But 4 a.m. is the latest that I will go to sleep at. And if I go to sleep late, I usually try to take a nap, a short nap during the day. I like to take naps if I didn't get a good night's sleep. But sometimes short naps make me even more sleepy. Do you like taking naps during the day? Or do naps make you feel more sleepy? I can take a 20-minute nap and I'll feel better. But if I take a 40-minute nap, then I end up feeling more tired than I did before. I'm so jealous of people who can fall asleep easily. There are people that can fall asleep so quickly. In a matter of minutes, they can pass out and be in deep sleep. It's crazy. I wish I could fall asleep that fast. It's a true talent. Can you fall asleep easily? Or do you take more time to fall asleep? I normally have to stop watching my phone or a screen maybe 30 minutes before I go to sleep. Otherwise, I just can't sleep. The screen on my phone or computer wakes me up and keeps me awake. But when I am sick, maybe I have a cough or I'm feeling congested, I take medication to help with my sickness, but also helps me to fall asleep. Some medicine can cause sleepiness or drowsiness, the feeling of sleepiness. And I love medicine that makes me feel drowsy. Then I am able to sleep so well. But once I took medicine that caused sleepiness, and that night I sleepwalked. I used to sleepwalk all the time when I was little. I would walk around and talk all while I was still sleeping. One time, I woke up in my parents' bedroom and I was standing right in front of them and I was just talking. My parents were so confused, and when I woke up standing there, I was also confused. I didn't know where I was or how I got there. Do you ever sleepwalk? Are you a sleepwalker? Tell me about a time when you sleepwalked at night. But I don't sleepwalk anymore. I only talk in my sleep. Sometimes. Sometimes it can scare people. People can get scared when I am talking alone at night. But I'm just dreaming out loud. Do you ever talk in your sleep? Before sleeping, I always wash my face, brush my teeth, and set my alarm on my phone. And I go to bed. What do you always do before going to bed? Hey there. Hey there. Hey there. Long time no see. Long time no see. Long time no see. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How's everything? How's everything? How's everything? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? What's up? What's up? What's new? What's new? How have you been? How have you been? How have you been? Not much, just chilling. Not much, just chilling. Not much, just chilling. Same old, same old. Same old, same old. Same old, same old. Can't complain. Can't complain. Can't complain. For small talk and conversations, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? What do you do for work? How's your day going? How's your day going? How's your day going? What have you been up to? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. No way. No way. I can't believe it. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Really? That's awesome. Really? That's awesome. That's cool. I had no idea. I had no idea. I had no idea, no clue. That's insane. That's insane. That's crazy. I know, right? I know, right? I know, right? Could you please say that again? Could you please say that again? Could you please say that again? Can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat that, please? Can you speak more slowly, please? Can you speak more slowly, please? Can you speak more slowly, please? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. How do you say this in English? How do you say this in English? To agree or disagree? I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Exactly. Exactly. Totally. Totally. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I get you. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Now, to say your opinion or feeling. In my opinion. In my opinion. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I agree. To be honest, I don't like it. To be honest, I don't like it. To be honest, I don't like it. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you free this weekend? Are you free this weekend? Are you free this weekend? Want to go grab a coffee? Want to go grab a coffee? Or for shorter, you can also say wanna go grab a coffee instead of want to. Instead of want to, you can say wanna. Wanna grab a coffee? Wanna hang out? Wanna hang out? Let's catch up soon. Let's catch up soon. Let's catch up soon. What are you up to later? What are you up to later? What are you up to later? Let's do it. Sounds good. Let's do it. Sounds good. Let's do it. Sounds good. Let's hang out sometime. Let's hang out sometime. Let's hang out sometime. See you then. See you then. See you then. Maybe another time. Maybe another time. I can't today. Maybe another time. If you don't like something, you can say, it's not my cup of tea. 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 I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't really like that. Now, if you don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. Instead of let me, you can say let me. Let me think about it. Beats me. Beats me. I don't know. Beats me. I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you on that. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. Ordering foods and drinks. I'll have a coffee, please. I'll have a coffee, please. I'll have a coffee, please. Could I get the check, please? Could I get the check, please? Could I get the check, please? Do you have any recommendations? Do you have any recommendations? Do you have any recommendations? That looks delicious. That looks Delicious. That looks delicious. Can I get this to go? Can I get this to go? Can I get this to go? To take away? Asking for directions. Excuse me, how do I get to the library? Excuse me, how do I get to the library? Excuse me, how do I get to the library? Is it far from here? Is it far from here? Is it far from here? Could you point me in the right direction? Could you point me in the right direction? Could you sounds like could you? Could you? Could you point me in the right direction? Could you point me in the right direction? I think I'm lost. I think I'm lost. I think I'm lost. Which way is downtown? Which way is downtown? Which way is downtown? For transportation? Where can I buy a ticket? Where can I buy a ticket? Where can I buy a ticket? What time does the bus leave? What time does the bus leave? What time does the bus leave? I'd like to check in, please. I'd like to check in, please. I'd like to check in, please. Is there Wi-Fi here? Is there Wi-Fi here? For an emergency? I need help. I need help. I need help. My phone battery is dead. My phone battery is dead. My phone battery is dead. Can I borrow your phone, please? Can I borrow your phone, please? Can I borrow your phone, please? And saying goodbye. Catch you later. Catch you later. Catch you later. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. See ya later. See ya later. See ya later. Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Have a good one. Have a good one. My daily routine. Routine you do every day. In the morning, I wake up at 7 a.m. I brush my teeth, I wash my face, and
I eat breakfast. My favorite breakfast is oatmeal. Oatmeal with bananas, strawberries, and honey. I eat oatmeal every day. It's my favorite breakfast. What is your favorite breakfast? What do you usually eat for breakfast? After breakfast, I do yoga. I love yoga. I love stretching every day. Then I get ready for work. I am a teacher. I am an English teacher. I teach students from Ukraine, Mexico, Colombia, Germany, Russia, and more. What is your job? Who do you work with? I work with students. Who do you work with? After teaching, I study. I study Mandarin Chinese. Then I eat lunch. I normally eat a sandwich for lunch. What do you normally eat for lunch? After lunch, I get ready for my salsa dance class. I love dancing. I dance every Tuesday and Thursday. Do you like to dance? What do you like to do in your free time? In my free time, I like to dance. What do you like to do in your free time? In the evening, I relax at home. I watch TV. I read a book. Sometimes I cook dinner. Sometimes I cook Alfredo pasta. I love Alfredo pasta. What is your favorite dinner? Your favorite dinner? At 11 p.m., I go to sleep. I love sleeping. I love feeling cozy and comfy. What about your daily routine? What do you usually do every day? My name is Tiana Ortiz. I am 21 years old. What is your name? How old are you? I am from the United States, specifically Nebraska, and I currently live in Mexico. Where are you from? Where do you currently live now? What I love most about Mexico are the people and the food. My neighbors are very friendly, and the food is delicious. My birthday is November 22nd, and I usually celebrate surrounded by my family and friends. I like surrounding myself with people who love me. When is your birthday? How do you celebrate it? My favorite season is spring, and my favorite color is purple. Purple reminds me of the flowers that bloom in the spring. What is your favorite season? Spring, summer, winter, or fall? What is your favorite color and why? Words we saw today. Practice. Specifically, currently, neighbors, surrounded, remind, bloom, and the seasons. Today, I got a weird phone call. A strange phone call. I was at home drinking a cup of tea and reading a book. Suddenly, my phone rang. Brrr. I picked up and said, "Hello?" A woman with a serious voice answered and said, "I know what you did." I was confused. I answered, "What did I do? Who is this?" She said, "Don't pretend. You stole my dog." Stole her dog? That was crazy. I love dogs, but I would never steal a dog. I said, "I think you have the wrong number. I don't have your dog." She didn't believe me. "I saw you. You took my dog from the park." "The park?" I said. "I didn't even go to the park today." I asked, "What does your dog look like?" She said, "He is small, white, and fluffy." I said, "I'm sorry, but my dog is not small or white." She said, Oh no, I think I called the wrong person. I'm so sorry." I laughed and said, "I hope you find your dog." I hung up and I sat on my couch. I shook my head. What a weird phone call. What would you do if you got a strange phone call like this? Have you ever had a funny or weird phone call before? Tell me about it. My family is very important to me. I am very close to my family. I have 2 siblings. I have 1 sister and 1 brother. My brother is 15 years old. He loves playing video games. He is much taller than me. But he does not look grown up. He still looks like a kid. A very tall kid. My sister is 23 years old. She studies quantum physics at university. She is also an English teacher. She is also taller than me. She likes to travel. She also likes to play video games. Do you have any siblings? What do they like to do? My mom is 42 years old. She is an English teacher. She teaches students in the United States. My dad is 51 years old. Guess what he does for work? He is also an English teacher. He teaches students in Mexico. What do your parents do for work? Do your parents work in construction, education, management, or healthcare? I have a few friends. I have a few very good friends. When I feel stressed from work or home or life, I can always talk to my friends. If I ever need to vent, I can always talk to my friends. My friends make me smile. When I'm feeling down, my friends make me laugh. I laugh a lot with my friends. We laugh about everything and anything. Who makes you smile? Who makes you laugh when you're feeling down? Sometimes I will go eat with my friends. We like to eat tacos. I always get the longaniza tacos. Those tacos are my favorite. What are your favorite kind of tacos? Do you like tacos with cheese, onion, hot sauce? I like to hang out with my friends. We hang out at the mall, the market, the fair, even at restaurants, or parties. We hang out everywhere. I don't know what I would do without my friends. I have many goals. I have lots of goals for my future. I have short-term goals and long-term goals. This year, I would like to get my Dive Master's certificate. My certificate in scuba diving. I love scuba diving. Mexico is one of the best places to do it. I want to travel and see all the most beautiful places, the most beautiful corals, and the most beautiful marine species, animal species. I want to help protect the oceans. I want to help protect the precious corals and precious animals in the ocean. When I get my diving certificate, I want to visit Thailand. I would like to visit Egypt, Australia, and Indonesia. What is a goal that you are working on? Another goal of mine is that I want to dance all around the world. I love dancing. Dancing brings me so much joy. When I dance, all my worries go away. I want to take dance classes and learn different dance styles. Do you want to take dance lessons? I want to take dance lessons in Brazil, Colombia, India, or Japan. Do you like dancing? Do you prefer watching people dance or dancing? What type of dance is your favorite? In my opinion, the happiest cultures are the ones with rich dance culture. Where people are dancing, people are smiling. Where people are dancing, people are connecting. Dancing is good for the soul. Dancing is good for the heart. What is something that makes you feel so good? Why does it make you feel so good? The last goal of mine is to speak Chinese. I want to speak Chinese fluently. I want to travel to China, to Taiwan, and speak Chinese. What is a language you want to learn? Where do you want to go to speak that language? Languages are very interesting to me. I think languages connect people from all over the world. Languages take time. Languages take time and patience. But the feeling when you finally learn a new language is wonderful. That feeling when you can understand a language is amazing. The feeling of understanding one sentence or one word feels so good. Every language is so different. Every language has its own special identity. Every language has different tones and pronunciation. I personally love learning new languages. I love teaching. I love teaching students to understand new words, to understand phrases, idioms, and eventually use them. What language, apart from English, do you want to learn? Challenging question. If you could download any language into your brain, would you do it? Or do you enjoy the process of learning? Which would you prefer?
Today, I want to talk to you about some common conversations or words you can use at the airport. When I arrive at the airport, I always make sure I have my passport, my boarding pass, and all of my luggage. Those 3 things are essential to check. I triple check before I leave my house and when I arrive at the airport. Once I get to the security checkpoint, I show my boarding pass to the security guard and they point me to which line I should go. So I stand in line and I wait. I take off my shoes. I take off my coat. And I take all my electronics out of my bag. If I have headphones or a laptop or my phone and even my chargers, I put them all in a basket. And then I walk through the metal detector. And I don't usually get checked for extra security, but sometimes they check with a little metal detector to see if I have any metal on my body. They will say, "Can you please step to the side?" And they scan with their little metal detector. Once I had a big bottle of sunscreen lotion, and they threw the whole thing in the garbage. It was my fault because it was over 100 milliliters, but I was still so angry. They could have just kept it for themselves or given it to somebody else. It was very frustrating. Have you ever had anything taken away from you at the security checkpoint? Have you ever been stopped and scanned at the security checkpoint? After I get through the checkpoint, I have to find my gate number. Usually, my gate number is on my boarding pass, but if it's not, I check the display screens at the airport. I always check to see the time and the gate number haven't changed. I always make sure to ask the service agents if I have any questions at all. Once I find my gate, I like to wait until the very end to start boarding. I don't like standing and waiting in line, and my seat number is usually one of the last ones to board the flight. So I sit down anyways. I show my boarding pass to one of
the flight attendants, and I find my seat. I love the window seat. I always prefer the window seat over the middle seat. But for long flights, I prefer the aisle seat. The aisle seat is perfect for longer flights because that way I can go to the bathroom whenever and however many times I want. But for short flights, I do prefer the window seat. Then, on arrival to my destination, the pilot announces, "We will be landing soon." So, I start to get all my things ready. And if I have a connecting flight, then I am ready to hurry to my next flight. Connections can be very stressful. If you don't have much time to switch and to go through immigration, customs, and the security checkpoint all over again, I get so frustrated. But when I don't have a connecting flight, then I usually just sit, relax, and wait. I eventually get through customs and immigration, and if I have a checked bag or checked baggage, then I go to the luggage carousel where I look for my luggage. After I find my luggage, I order an Uber or a taxi or a bus, and I head out to my accommodation. Airports can be very stressful, but they are also very exciting. New adventures, new places, new people, and knowing the name of these different things at the airport can help to make your trip less stressful and more relaxed. Hopefully, these new words help your English listening skills and help you to have a stress-free trip at the airport. My favorite color is purple. Purple reminds me of the sky. It reminds me of the sunset and the purple, blue, orange, and red sky. It also reminds me of my childhood. My childhood bedroom had Tinkerbell bed sheets. I had purple
Tinkerbell bed sheets and green Tinkerbell bed sheets. And they were my favorite bed sheets as a kid. I also always had purple clothes when I was younger. I only ever wanted purple clothes. What is your favorite color? What does it remind you of? Maybe a special memory or a special time? Now, I use a lot of light colored clothes. Light colors like white, yellow, orange, light green. I think my skin tone suits lighter colors. What colors suit you best? Every color makes me feel different. Every color has a different vibe. That's why I feel my best when I'm wearing light clothing. They make me feel happier and sometimes less stressed. Whenever I see someone wearing red clothing, I think to myself, wow, she or he is very confident, because I think the color red is a very confident color. I don't know what it is about the color red that is so intense and powerful. It makes any person who wears it stand out. They stand out in a crowd and they just seem interesting. That's why I like to wear red, because I want to seem interesting too. What's a color you think stands out? Something that draws the eye in. But I couldn't bear to live with red walls around me. I think it would make me feel overwhelmed and stressed. It is too much red. Blue, however, is a calming color. Blue walls around me make me feel peaceful and calm. Do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, what do you think is a calming color? I personally love the combination of purple with orange. It reminds me of the sunset. Those two colors work together so well. What are two colors you think work together very well. I have always associated the color green with trees, grass, and beautiful landscapes. Landscapes like mountains, rainforests, farms. I love seeing huge landscapes like farms. I like farms because my grandpa has a farm. He has a huge farm in Nebraska. It is green as far as the eye can see. No matter where you turn, you will see green and more green and more green as far as the eye can see. Do you associate the color green with anything? What does the color green remind you of? I can't imagine my life without colors. I need colors in my life. A place I could never live in is England. I could not live in England because it is too gray. It feels colorless. I need the sun. I need that glowing and bright sun. When I was in England, I used to get so sad and I was so tired all the time. I needed the sun. How important is color to you? Could you live in a country that was very gray all the time?
My favorite foods. First of all, I always enjoy sweets. Anything from cheesecake to candies to sweet bread. I love it all. But sweets are not very healthy for you. They have a lot of sugar. Sugar makes you fat. But sugar is also very delicious. So I think it's worth it. Some people like salty food more than sweets. What do you like more? Salty foods or sweet foods? I think people who like sweet foods are always very sweet. But people who like salty foods usually are very direct and straightforward. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I live in Mexico. In Mexico, we have lots of yummy foods. Foods that are spicy, sweet, salty, sour, bitter. We have them all. Mexican food is very diverse, but I think my favorite food is Japanese food. I can't resist sushi, rice, anything with soy sauce is delicious for me. I like hot weather. I prefer hot weather over cold weather. What do you prefer? The heat or the cold? I love sunny days. Sunny days are bright and warm. On sunny days, I like to read outside. Do you like sunny days? What do you do on sunny days? I like rainy days. On rainy days, the sky is gray. When it rains, I usually stay inside. I don't like to go outside when it's rainy. What do you prefer? To stay inside or go outside when it's rainy? I stay inside. I like to watch movies or TV series. Movies like Love, Rosie, Inside Out, Spirited Away. Series like Gossip Girl, like You. On rainy days, I also love to read books or draw. I read books or draw inside when it's rainy, not outside. Do you like rainy days? What do you usually do on rainy days? I don't like windy days. On windy days, the wind is so strong. The wind blows everywhere. I prefer to stay inside on windy days. Do you like windy days? What can you do on windy days? I love snowy days. On snowy days, the ground is all white. It shines bright and beautiful. I like to act like a kid in the snow. I like to make snow angels. Do you like snowy days? What can you do on snowy days? My favorite days are sunny days. I love when it's hot. I love the heat. What are your favorite days? What is your favorite weather? In my city, we don't have snowy days. In my city, it doesn't snow. I used to live in Nebraska, United States. In Nebraska, it is snowy. It is very snowy in the winter. Do you have snowy days in your city? In my city, it is also very windy. The wind blows dust everywhere. In my city, it is also very dry. My skin gets so dry, I need lotion. What's the weather like in your city? Is it sunny, rainy, windy, snowy, or dry? My first time traveling alone. The first time I ever traveled alone was when I was 18 years old. I booked my ticket to Tulum, Mexico. And I remember being so nervous and scared. My family was also nervous for me. But I took my flight to Tulum and I had a great time. It was so much fun. It was a trip I will remember my whole life because it was the first trip alone that I ever had. It was the trip that made me feel like I could do anything and go anywhere in the world. I saw the stunning beaches in Tulum and the breathtaking views of the cenotes. I saw one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it was the Chichen Itza. After making lots of friends and having lots of wonderful experiences, I started planning my next trip. I started planning my trip to Costa Rica. I went to Costa Rica when I was 19 years old. I traveled to Tamarindo and I saw the most beautiful sunset I have ever seen till this day. I also took surfing lessons. And after that, I traveled to another city. I went to Manuel Antonio, and there I volunteered at a hostel for 1 full month. I like volunteering at places because you can stay in a place near the beach, near monuments, somewhere beautiful for free. I had to clean the bathrooms and clean the kitchen and keep the rooms tidy. I also worked at reception from time to time. Have you ever volunteered somewhere? Maybe at a hostel, a dog shelter, maybe at a farm. While I was volunteering in Costa Rica, I saw the most beautiful beaches I have ever seen. And I made 2 very good friends. They were a French couple. One of my friends is actually the girl who tattooed me. She is a very good artist, a very talented artist. And my other friend I met in Costa Rica introduced me and showed me scuba diving. I love scuba diving, so it was a very special moment for me. They will always be 2 very special friends for me. After my trip to Costa Rica, I couldn't wait. I started planning my next trip. I had always wanted to travel to Thailand ever since I was a little girl. I don't know why, but I always have loved Thailand. But I think it's because my name is Tiana and people call me Thai. So when I was little and I heard about a country named Thailand, like Tiana, I was determined to visit and see it someday. I also have always loved elephants. I have always loved watching videos of elephants and drawing elephants. And Thailand has elephants. So I had two very good reasons or motives to travel to Thailand. Is there any place you have always wanted to visit? And is there any specific reason why you want to visit there? So, I started planning my trip to Thailand. And I decided to go 2 days before my birthday. I wanted to spend my birthday alone. So I booked my ticket for November 19th, 2 days before my birthday. My family was so nervous for me. Thailand is so far away from Mexico. But I had made up my mind. I was going to Thailand, to my land. So I took one small backpack and my 52-hour flight to Thailand. I was so nervous, but the moment I stepped off the plane, I began to feel the nervous excitement. I ordered a Grab. A Grab is like Uber, but in Asia. So I ordered a Grab and I went to my hostel. It was around 12 p.m. and I was a little bit lost. So I asked for directions. I asked, "Do you know where this hostel is?" And this one very kind man saw I was lost and he gave me a ride to my hostel. He was a very kind person, and that was a very nice gesture. The next days, I met so many nice people, and nobody knew it was my birthday. It felt strange, but also really cool. Would you ever spend your birthday alone? I spent 3 months traveling through Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Vietnamese food is incredible. What country has had the best food you have ever tried? I loved the Vietnamese people. They were always singing karaoke, and they were always smiling. Cambodia's beaches were pristine. They had some very interesting foods. I will always remember my trip to Asia. Then, after my trip, I came back to Mexico. I celebrated birthdays and Father's Day, and I head out to travel again. I went to Portugal. I volunteered at a hostel in Portugal, near Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, in Cascais. There, I worked with 4 other people, 2 from Argentina, 1 from Ecuador, and 1 from Brazil. They became some of my closest friends. They were all so kind and special. I had the best time in Portugal. The work, though, was hard, very difficult. I had to work long hours and hard shifts. But the hostel was right next to the beach, so I could swim every day. But Portugal has freezing ocean water. It was the Atlantic Ocean. So the first time I swam in Portugal, I couldn't feel my hands or toes or face. I was freezing cold, but I felt so refreshed. After that, I decided I would go in every single day. And so I did. Even when I was super sick, I had a fever and a cold and a cough. I still would go in the freezing ocean every single day. Do you enjoy swimming in cold water? Or do you prefer to swim in warm water? I had some of my favorite memories in Portugal. Then I went back to Mexico. I stayed home for a while to spend time with my family. Then I started planning my next trip. I took a flight to Cancun in Mexico, specifically to a city or town named Akumal. It is the city of turtles. And guess what I was going to do there? Save the turtles. So I went to volunteer with the turtles. At the turtle sanctuary, we looked after and took care of the mama turtles and the baby turtles. We had to protect the eggs from different predators or even people. We also made sure nobody had bright lights on, because bright lights can confuse the turtles. The baby turtles can think the lights are the moon, and that is dangerous. So we only use red lights. We also took care of the mama turtles. We made sure nobody bothered them. The mama turtles need to feel safe. They need to feel safe because they need to lay their eggs. We worked long hours at the turtle sanctuary, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. I was always exhausted, and I had to teach English to my students. So I was very tired all the time. But it was totally worth it. It was an unforgettable experience to help the turtles and make some really good friends. But a funny story, my ex-boyfriend didn't get along with one of the other volunteers. They would always have problems and fight. So we were kicked out of the turtle sanctuary. We had to leave, but once we left, I went back home, and I have been home ever since. I am planning my trip to Brazil next week, and I am very excited to start traveling again. Where was your first trip? What made it special?
Today, we are reviewing abbreviations and how to pronounce them in English. Abbreviations are short forms of words or phrases in English, and sometimes we change the way we say them when speaking. For example, instead of saying I will, we would say I'll, if we're speaking quickly or casually with friends or family. For example, I'll see you tomorrow instead of I will see you tomorrow. For example, how would you say this sentence? I will go to the store later. I'll go to the store later. Another one like I am. I'm going to the park. How would you say this sentence? I am studying right now. I'm studying right now. Another abbreviation, you are, would be you're. You're very good at dancing. You are my friend. Instead, you're my friend. Also with she is or he is, you can just say she's or he's. She's going to the party tonight. She is working hard. She's working hard. He is going to school. He's going to school. They are there. They're having lunch right now. There. They are my friends. They're my friends. We are. We're. We're going to the park. We are all going to the movies. We're all going to the movies. It's easier. Another one like, would you? Would you like to watch a movie? Would you is commonly said quickly, would ya? Instead of, would you like some coffee? Would ya like some coffee? How would you say, would you help me with this? Would you help me with this? Would ya? Then got to, we pronounce as gotta. It's common in casual conversation. Instead of saying, I've got to go work now, I've gotta go work now. I've got to finish this project. I've gotta finish this project. Want to is another very common abbreviation. I want to go home. I wanna go home. I want to see a movie. I wanna see a movie. Have to is another very common abbreviation. Instead of saying have to, people say have to. I have to leave soon. I have to leave soon. I have to call my friend. I have to call my friend. Also, when we say going to, I'm going to buy an ice cream. I'm gonna buy an ice cream. I'm going to call you later. I'm gonna call you later. How would you say, I am going to go to the store? A fast way of saying that, I'm gonna go to the store. Could have, we say coulda. I could have gone to the party if it was earlier. I coulda gone to the party if it was earlier. How would you say, I could have helped you? I coulda helped you. Also, when we use should have, we abbreviate it shoulda. She should have come to my house. She shoulda come to my house. I should have called you. I shoulda called you. How would you say, I should have studied for the test? I shoulda studied for the test. Another abbreviation, let us, let's. Let us go to the party together. Let's go to the party together. Let us go to the beach this weekend. Let's go to the beach this weekend. How would you say, let us go to the party? Let's go to the party. Because we normally abbreviate as 'cause. I didn't go 'cause I didn't know. I didn't go to the party because I was tired. I didn't go to the party 'cause I was tired. How would you say, I stayed home because I had to work? I stayed home 'cause I had to work. I don't know. Usually we say quickly as I dunno. I don't know where she went. I dunno where she went. I don't know the answer. I dunno the answer. How would you say, I don't know how much it costs? I dunno how much it costs. When we say probably, we normally pronounce it probably. I'll probably go to the gym later today. I will probably visit tomorrow. I will probably visit tomorrow. How would you say, I will probably go to school? I will probably go to school. Then could you is pronounced could ya. Could you go to the store for me? Could you go to the store for me? Could you pass me the salt, please? Could you pass me the salt, please? And also some important abbreviations through text, like BTW, means by the way. By the way, don't forget the eggs. By the way, I won't be able to go to school tomorrow. BTW, by the way, adding something on, and when we say as soon as possible, you text ASAP. You need to call me as soon as possible. You need to call me ASAP. Through text and when speaking. Listen to a story of my trip while using different abbreviations in example sentences. Practice hearing them in a normal conversation. I'll say it once slowly and once fast. It's important to practice listening to slow and fast English. Check out my page for more of both slow and fast English listening practice. I'm gonna tell you about my trip to Brazil. I probably arrived around 1 a.m. to the international airport in Rio, Brazil. I realized later that I shoulda booked a ticket earlier because arriving in a new city at 1 a.m. is not a good idea. Mostly because you don't know what the taxi situation is like. And it's always better to figure that out during the daytime. When you're in a new country, you have to be precautious. No matter where you travel to or where you're coming from, you have to be careful. Since I arrived so late, I talked to a couple of people at the airport, and I said, I dunno where I should wait for my Uber. Could you possibly point me in the right direction? I coulda asked a few different people that were sitting, but I decided to ask an older lady for directions. She looked very sweet. She told me, you gotta walk to the end of the airport and follow the yellow lines. That's where you'll find all the taxis lined up. I told her, I don't wanna take a taxi. I'd prefer to take an Uber. So she pointed me in the right direction for the Ubers instead. So I made my way over to the Uber pickup, and 30 minutes later, I arrived at my hostel at the beach. Now, once quickly, I'm gonna tell you about my trip to Brazil. I probably arrived around 1 a.m. to the international airport of Rio, Brazil. I realize I should have booked an earlier ticket because arriving in a new city at 1 a.m. is never a good idea, because you never know what the taxi situation is like. And it's always better to figure that out during the daytime. When you're in a new country, you have to be precautious. No matter where you are or where you're coming from, you have to be very careful. Since I arrived so late, I talked to a couple of people at the airport and I said, I don't know where I should wait for my Uber. Could you possibly point me in the right direction? I could have asked a few people sitting, but I decided to ask an older lady. She seemed very sweet. She told me, you gotta walk to the end of the airport and follow the yellow lines. That's where you'll find all the taxis lined up. I told her, I don't want to take a taxi. I'd prefer to take an Uber. So she pointed me in the right direction for the Ubers. So I made my way over to the Ubers, and 30 minutes later, I was at my hostel on the beach.
I hate airports. Airports are the worst. My experience with airports is probably very similar to everybody else's. Whenever I go to the airport, I just pray I didn't forget one tiny detail. One tiny detail that could make me miss my flight. I triple check everything. I triple check every single detail. And when I'm done, I check one more time. I always make sure to check in online. I check in right away so that I have more peace of mind. My peace of mind is very important for me at the airport. I usually get my boarding pass on my phone. Then I am ready to go. I prefer to check in online than to check in person. I think it's less stressful checking in online than it is in person. What do you prefer? Checking in online or in person? Convince me. Why? Why is it better? The worst part of going to the airport is the security check. Everyone is yelling and rushing, and it's pure chaos. It's too chaotic for me. Finding my gate is usually less stressful than going through security. But it still is very frustrating to find my gate. especially if the airport has like 8 terminals. But once I am at my gate, my worries go away. Now I just have to board my plane. I only need to board and take a seat. I usually am the last person to board the plane. Everyone is always so eager to board, but I prefer to stay seated and wait. Do you prefer to board the plane right away, or do you prefer to take your time and wait? I usually only bring one personal item. A personal item is a small bag. I don't pack very many things. I am a light packer. I don't need a carry-on, and I don't need to check my luggage either. I am a light traveler. What luggage do you usually bring on a flight? Do you bring a personal item, a carry-on, or checked luggage? My flights rarely get delayed, but when they do, it is very annoying. Once, I had to sleep at the airport. It was 8 hours, an 8-hour delay at the airport. But me and my family were in economy class, not first class. So no hotel, no accommodation for us. We weren't first class. Do you travel in economy class or first class? But one thing I can say about airports is that anything goes. You can see people sleeping, people eating McDonald's at 8 a.m., watching movies, running, stretching. You can see people doing anything. Anything goes at the airport. Where else can you see people doing all of those things in one place? Nowhere. Only at the airport. Airports also give me that nervous excitement, that feeling of butterflies in my stomach. Butterflies for all the adventures to come. What is something you like about airports? what are some tips you can give me to enjoy airports more? I used to have long layovers. I wanted to save money. As much money as I possibly could. So I would book flights as long as 52 hours with 12-hour layovers. For my trip to Thailand, I had a 12-hour layover in Los Angeles. I took advantage of my long layover and I visited Hollywood with my cousin. Then I took my next flight to Japan. I stayed in Japan for 12 hours and I visited Osaka. I went shopping and I even ate sushi. Then finally I got on my last flight to Bangkok, Thailand. After 52 hours of flight, I finally arrived to Thailand. But 52 hours of flying is very bad for your sleep schedule. But it was worth it for the price. And I was able to visit 2 extra countries. But I wouldn't do it again. I would not repeat that experience. Now I prioritize my time and my sleep. What has been your longest layover? Would you rather have a cheap 52-hour flight or an expensive 12-hour flight?
My trip to Brazil was so much fun. I started my day around 4 a.m. I had to catch the 5 a.m. bus to the airport. My flight took off at 9 a.m. But I like to be at the airport at least 2 hours before my flight, just in case. I arrived at the airport around 7 a.m. and I was feeling a bit hungry. So I ate my Greek yogurt, but I forgot my spoon. So I had to use my yogurt lid to scoop all the yogurt out instead. After finishing my Greek yogurt, I was all ready to go through the security checkpoint. I put all my electronics on a tray and I took off my sweater and my hat. Once I got through the security checkpoint, I found my gate number. I sat and I waited for boarding to begin. Once boarding started, I sat in my seat with my headphones and some music. I love listening to music as the plane takes off. I also like watching movies during my flight, and I ate a strawberry biscuit on this 4-hour flight. Then I finally arrived in Panama for my layover. I boarded my next flight that would take me straight to Rio de Janeiro. And 7 hours later, I was in Brazil. But my legs hurt so much. They were so cramped and rigid from being sat for 7 hours. I usually like to stretch as much as I can when I have long flights. Do you think it's important to stretch in between flights? What helps you get through long flights? Does music help you? Movies? Sleep, maybe? But when I arrived at the airport, it was 1 a.m., 1 o'clock at night. And it's never a good idea to arrive in a new city at 1 a.m. But for me, it was the only flight option. So I asked a kind lady where I could order a taxi or Uber driver. And she pointed me in the right direction. Then I took a 30-minute Uber ride and finally arrived at my hostel on Copacabana Beach. I dropped all of my bags, all of my luggage, all of it in my room, and I went to the bathroom to take a shower. There, I met 2 very nice girls. We talked and decided we would go to a bloco in the morning. A bloco is a little party on the streets in Brazil. So I went to bed and I got up at 7 a.m. to go to the bloco de Anitta. We all went together and we danced and we sang and we had a good time. After that, we all went to the beach and the water was freezing. But I love cold oceans. They are so refreshing to me. Do you prefer cold water beaches or warm water beaches? We felt hungry after swimming, so we went to get a burger at a cute little restaurant near the beach. I got a cheddar cheeseburger, and it was really good. It was just what I needed. Later that night, I went to the Sopodromo to see the huge carnival that they throw in Rio. And it was incredible. Every dance, one after the other, was better than the last. The amount of talent and skills that these dancers had was insane. But finally, I really enjoyed seeing all the dances, all the parades, and all of the effort that was put into this crazy presentation. I really enjoyed this one specifically. But finally, around 5 a.m., I decided to go home. I was so exhausted from the day. And the next afternoon, I went to get lunch with a friend. And for dessert, of course, we got an acai. I love my acai with coconut cream, granola, and coconut shavings. What toppings do you like to eat your acai with? After having our acai for dessert, we wanted to hike the Pau de Açúcar Sugarloaf Mountain. But when we arrived, they told us it was closed. So we couldn't hike the mountain. But it was still very beautiful to see from afar. So instead, we went shopping. I bought a cute blue necklace and a Brazil shirt. We also got caipirinhas and we walked around the boardwalk. Then I saw a man giving another man a massage. But I don't know why everyone was watching. It was very confusing, but also very funny. Then the next morning, I went to the beach and I ate a juicy peach. It was very nice to spend time with myself. And in the afternoon, I went to another beach. And my friends made me a mermaid tail out of sand. They tried very hard to make me look like a mermaid. Then, in the evening, we went to go see Pedra do Sal. It's a big reunion, a big gathering with music and drinks and lots of different people. But it was so crowded. I could barely move. I also ran into a girl who listens to my podcast. It was so sweet to meet her. The next morning, I had to get up at 9 a.m. for a tour around Rio. But I was so exhausted from the night before, and it was a very difficult tour. But the view of Sugarloaf was so worth it. We took the cable bus up to Sugarloaf, and I could see all of Rio from that marvelous view. And I also ate an acai while enjoying the view. Then we head to our next tour, which was the Escaladería Celarón, or Lapa Stairs. The Lapa Stairs have tiles from all around the world. They're so colorful and beautiful. Then, of course, I had to try a pão de queijo, which is a cheese bread. And wow, was that flavorful. I had no idea it's all cheese. No bread, just cheese. Finally, I went to see Christ the Redeemer, one of the 7 wonders of the world. The view, of course, was remarkable, as was all of Rio. And that night, I had a chill evening, and I went to bed early. The next morning, I had a big watermelon for breakfast. And the best part was that I ate it all at the beach. Eating watermelon in the hot sun at the beach is an experience I would highly recommend. Then we decided we would go see the botanical gardens. We saw huge lily pads, breathtaking mountain views, and some really fascinating trees. I love trees. This was definitely a highlight of my trip in Rio. The botanical gardens are not to be missed. After taking in all of the wonderful scenery, we had to try feijoada, the typical dish in Brazil. So we ordered picanha at a Brazilian restaurant, and it was definitely one of the most delicious meals I have ever tasted. What's a tasty dish from your country? Describe the flavor and the ingredients. Then, of course, for dessert, I had to get an acai. And I was so tired from walking all day, so I went to bed early. And I hadn't seen the sunrise in Rio yet, but I had heard people say that the sunrise in Copacabana was wonderful. So I woke up at 5:50 a.m. and I ran to the beach to watch the sunrise. And it was a beautiful sunrise. I took in the sunrise for a while before buying some strawberries and bananas for my breakfast. These strawberries and bananas in Brazil are a lot sweeter than the strawberries and bananas in Mexico. Then we took the subway to Uruguayana Market, an outdoor market where they sell everything from bikinis to food to souvenirs. And I bought a bikini, some souvenirs, and some delicious food. And on the way back, we decided to go all the way to Barro de Tijuca station to see Joatinga Beach. And I have to say, Joatinga Beach is one of the most spectacular beaches I have ever seen. The waves would crash against the rocks and make thunderous noise. By the way, it's so impressive how people are always playing soccer at the beaches in Brazil. I wish I could join them, but I'm not that good at soccer. That evening, we went to another Brazilian restaurant, and there was a man who really liked Michael Jackson. Whenever a song from Michael Jackson would come on in the restaurant, he would stand up and start dancing. It was actually pretty admirable. He was so confident and he didn't care about what anyone else thought. I want to be that confident when I'm older. Then, unfortunately, my trip was over. I took my Uber around 2 a.m. and my flight to Panama left at 5 a.m. from Rio. Then I went from Panama to Mexico City. But I am happy to be home, and I'm very excited to go back to Brazil and visit more beautiful places and meet more beautiful Brazilian people to practice my Portuguese. Today, I want to practice some common job interview vocabulary. Some different phrases you might need at a job interview. A story about my experience with job interviews. I always keep my resume up to date. Any new qualifications or experience or employment positions, I add to my CV resume right away. I never hand in an old resume. How often do you update your resume? How important is it for you to keep your resume up to date? I have worked in a few different areas: education, translation, and transcription. But mostly, I have only ever been an English teacher. I have only ever had part-time jobs. I have never had a full-time job. Do you have a few part-time jobs or one full-time job? I prefer part-time jobs because my schedule needs to be flexible. I travel a lot, so I need to manage and change my schedule a lot. The different time zones in the world can be difficult to manage with a full-time job. I think one of my biggest skills are my social skills. It's one of my greatest strengths to be able to communicate very well with others. What are some of your greatest strengths? What are some of your skills? Some weaknesses of mine, however, is the idea that I can do everything in one moment. I can't manage my time, and I sometimes don't sleep or rest, and I end up feeling overworked and tired. Now, I try to limit myself so that I don't end up feeling overworked and tired. What do you consider to be your weaknesses? Have you ever ended up feeling overworked and exhausted? It feels nice to be hired. For someone to say, "You're hired," is nice. But just as it feels nice to be hired, it feels really bad to be fired. I got fired 1 year ago, and it was awful. I felt so lost, and I felt like a failure. But it's important to remember that whether you're hired or fired, you are not a failure. Success is a feeling you can give yourself. You define your own success, not a company, not a paycheck, not money, not anybody but yourself. Have you ever been fired before? How did it feel? And what did you do to feel better? Tell me about your dream job?
I have always enjoyed playing sports. Anything from soccer to ballet. I have always loved participating in different social activities. Throughout my whole life, I have gone to soccer, cheerleading, basketball, gymnastics, dance, and baseball. Do you play any sports? Do you prefer team sports or individual sports? I don't enjoy watching sports as much as I enjoy playing them. I do love watching gymnastics competitions and dance shows like Dance Moms or Dancing with the Stars. Do you think watching sports is as enjoyable as playing them? I also enjoy going to the gym, but if I don't have time to go to the gym, I always make sure to go for a jog. Jogging, for me, is very therapeutic. It helps me clear my mind and stops the overthinking. Physical activity not only helps my body, but also helps my mind. Is there any type of exercise you do to help you clear your head? Having a clear mind? How can exercise help us to stop worrying about things? Sometimes hobbies aren't physical. Hobbies like drawing, writing, knitting, gardening, or cooking can be a big help to mental health as well. Do you enjoy non-physical hobbies? If so, which ones do you enjoy? Today, I want to talk about sports and hobbies. I have always enjoyed playing sports, anything from soccer to ballet. I have always loved participating in different social activities. Throughout my whole life, I have gone to soccer, cheerleading, basketball, gymnastics, and baseball. Do you play any sports? Do you prefer team sports or individual sports? I don't enjoy watching sports as much as I enjoy playing them. I do love watching gymnastics competitions and dance shows. Dance shows like Dance Moms or Dancing with the Stars. Do you think watching sports is as enjoyable as playing them? I also enjoy going to the gym, but if I don't have time to go to the gym, I always make sure to go for a jog. Jogging for me is very therapeutic. It helps me to clear my mind and stops me from overthinking. You know, physical activity is good for the body and it is good for the mind. Is there any type of exercise you do to help clear your mind? How can exercise help us stop worrying about things? Sometimes hobbies aren't physical. Hobbies like drawing, writing, knitting, gardening, or cooking They can be a huge help to help mental health. Do you enjoy any non-physical hobbies? When I think of my comfort food, the first thing that comes to mind is flaming hot Cheetos. Since I was a little girl, my sister and I have always enjoyed a big bag of flaming hot Cheetos while watching cartoons or movies together. What is your comfort food? Are there any people, holidays, or places attached to this dish? Lots of people that I know don't like spicy food. They can't stand spicy food. And I used to agree. I used to think spicy food was not enjoyable because it was unbearable to eat. I would just cry and sniffle. But now I can't get enough of it. I love spicy food. Do you eat spicy food? If you do, what are your favorite dishes? If not, why? One thing I can't stand is bitter food. The flavors are too bland and boring. They lack flavor. That's why I don't like bitter food. What's a type of food that you can't stand and why? Sweet foods, however, are my favorite foods. I have a huge sweet tooth. My sweet tooth is so bad, I can sometimes eat up to 3 conchas before bed. 3 conchas before bed. I have no limit. My favorite sweets are conchas, cheesecakes, and cinnamon bread or cinnamon rolls. What type of food do you like the most? Spicy, bitter, sweet, or salty? When I was younger, I used to sneak into the kitchen to steal the sweets. The bread my father had bought. He bought conchas, orejas, cuernitos. I would steal it all. I couldn't resist. In the morning, if my dad asked, "Where did all the bread go?" I would stay quiet. My silence made me look guilty. Of course, he knew it was me. Are there any foods you can't resist? Any foods you couldn't resist when you were younger? I speak 2 languages, English and Spanish. When speaking, I feel almost like I have 2 separate personalities. one in English and one in Spanish. The distinction between each language is not just the way I speak, but also the volume of my voice. I am much louder in English than I am in Spanish. However, in Spanish, I have a much more outgoing personality. It's weird how a language can change your personality. English is my first language. I speak it with my family at home and whenever I teach English. But when I speak Spanish, I have only ever spoken at school or with my friends. Today, I only ever speak English with my friends. I believe that's why I have a lot more casual vocabulary in Spanish than I do in English. I have a lot more laid-back Spanish than English. At least that's why I think I have two different personalities in each language. What about you? Do you ever feel like you have two different personalities in each language? The other day, I was on the bus. My friend and I had to get home. So we waited for the bus to come for maybe 10 minutes until finally it arrived. But it was so packed, full of people, like sardines. The driver stopped and told us to get in. But we said, no, we don't fit. We'll take the next one. So the driver moved on and we waited another 10 minutes. But at that point, we had already waited 20 minutes. I wasn't waiting any longer. So we got on the bus and we fit just right. But the driver was driving like a maniac. I had to hold on so tight so that I wouldn't fall or trip. I could barely hold on. Then the driver stopped one more time to pick up a family. It was a mother and her two young boys. They were very short, so the two boys could not hold on to any of the handles. So they were going side to side, falling and tripping. I told one of the boys, "Hold on to me." And one older lady said the same. One older lady told the boys, "Hold on to me. Hold on to my sweater." So the boy did. He grabbed the lady and held her tight, and he didn't fall anymore. It was a very nice scene. It was a very cute experience we all rode like sardines the whole way home. And once we finally arrived, we all said goodbye, nice to meet you, and it was a very nice experience. I always have nice experiences on the bus. I love the beautiful people I can meet every day in my normal day-to-day life. I love seeing kind actions and really appreciating all the kind people I meet throughout my days. I love being in Mexico, where you can see all kinds of nice actions every day, without a doubt. Tell me about a nice experience you've had with complete strangers. Describe how it made you feel and why it was so special, but also so normal. I don't mean dreams as in your life goals and aspirations. When I say dreams, I'm referring to the dreams we have when we sleep. The worlds we create inside our brain. Our subconscious mind creating worlds, creating stories, creating our dreams while we sleep. Those are the dreams that I love talking about. They are so mysterious. I dream almost every night, and I love it. I love waking up from a crazy dream and writing it down in my dream journal. It's a journal where I write down all of my dreams. The moment I wake up from a dream, I immediately start to forget right away. It's really frustrating because I want to remember it. That's why I write them down right away when I wake up. I've had the best dreams where I wake up feeling inspired to try new things, to study new things. I have had dreams where I wake up and I feel I can do anything. Have you ever had a dream that inspired you to learn or do something? I have also dreamt that I can fly. Have you ever had a dream where you could fly? What did it feel like? Describe the feeling to me. I have had flying dreams before, and it feels extraordinary. The wind in my hair, on my skin, and the nervous feeling in my stomach, like I might fall at any second. It's exhilarating to feel like you're flying high in the sky. What's the coolest dream you have ever had? But I've also had very scary dreams. I think we all have had a scary dream before. Maybe a dream where we are falling, and just before we hit the ground, we wake up. At least I have had lots of dreams like that. Or maybe a dream where someone is chasing you, running after you, and we can't run away. We keep trying and trying, but our legs just won't move. What's a scary dream you have had before? What do you think that dream means? I think dreams can have many meanings. They can mean many different things. I think dreams show us different signs. Maybe a sign that only our subconscious mind can pick up on. Dreams are very helpful for us. I think they help us to get inspired and to get excited for new things. They also show us maybe some scary, maybe some worrying things, but they help us to make the changes necessary for our lives to be the happiest we can possibly be. Sometimes I think our dreams can make us appreciate and be thankful for things we might take for granted in our lives. If you take someone or something for granted, maybe your dream will show you that person and show you you need to appreciate that person more. I think our dreams can sometimes tell us to not take something for granted. Do you agree that dreams have meaning? Let me know your take on it. If you disagree, let me know why. Some recurring dreams that I have had before is when I dream that all my teeth are falling out. I desperately try to catch them, but I just can't. Another recurring dream that I have is actually a very nice dream. I love my flying dreams. I really enjoy those. What are some of your recurring dreams? Recurring meaning they happen again and again. How do you interpret your dreams? What do you think they mean? There are lots of different cultural interpretations that can be made about dreams. I love hearing about them. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about with my students. I would absolutely love to hear your interpretations or cultural beliefs about dreams.
Today, I want to talk to you about sickness. I've been feeling very sick lately. I think it has to do with my trip to Rio, Brazil. Normally, whenever I get sick, it has something to do with my sleep schedule. Normally, it has to do with the amount and the quality of sleep that I'm getting, and just keeping up with my rest and sleep in general is very important for me to stay healthy. But now that I think about it, I don't think I even got one full night sleep in my whole week in Rio. And I'm usually very sensitive to changes in my sleep schedule. If I don't get a full night's rest, I'm crabby all day long. I'm moody and angry and just insufferable to be around. I'm very crabby, and especially with my English lessons, I need to have lots of energy, and I need to be in a good mood and mindset to be able to give my English lessons in a fun and structured way. But this one weekend, for example, I pulled an all-nighter. To pull an all-nighter means to stay up all night and not sleep. Have you ever pulled an all-nighter before? Well, I did. And let me tell you, I will not do that again. I was tired the whole week after that one all-nighter. I literally couldn't function. I would wake up in the morning and have my normal routine. I would eat breakfast, teach a couple classes, and after maybe 5 hours, I would feel exhausted, ready to sleep. So I would have to take a nap, maybe a 1 or 2 hour nap to recuperate. Then I would be fine. A couple hours of being awake would pass by, and I would be feeling exhausted again. It was crazy. It was like I had an insane amount of sleep debt. We call it sleep debt when you basically owe your body sleep or rest. Just like you can owe money or be in debt with money, you can also be in debt with sleep. But I finally paid off my sleep debt after 4 days of sleeping. That's why, like I said, I wouldn't pull an all-nighter again. It's too intense for my body. But anyways, that's why I feel I got sick this week. Because I was pushing my body too far. I swear, I was walking every day at least 40,000 steps a day. I remember checking my phone, and every time at least 40,000 steps a day. And I would be so tired. My body would be aching everywhere, ready to sleep, but I would still go to sleep late and wake up early. So, apart from pushing my body too far, I wouldn't even give my body the chance to recuperate that energy or rest even a bit. So I think I pushed my body over the edge, and now I'm paying the price. I'm paying the consequences. That's why I feel super congested, like I blow my nose and I don't know how it never stops. The mucus just keeps coming and coming. I don't even know where it's coming from at this point. And I also had a terrible cough. One of those coughs that's just always tickling your throat. You feel a constant tickle that you need to cough. I hate coughing. And after a while of coughing, it starts to hurt my throat. So I try to take cough drops to soothe my throat. Cough drops are really good for relieving and soothing the pain temporarily, only for a short period of time. But for long-term solutions, it's best to take antibiotics. That helps relieve the pain altogether and gets rid of the virus or bacteria that you have. But usually, when I get a sore throat and I don't want to take antibiotics, I always try home remedies first. My home remedy for a sore throat is tea, but not just any tea. I like to make turmeric tea with turmeric, honey, lime juice, pepper, and ginger. This tea works like magic. It soothes and relieves the pain in my throat right away. Turmeric is just magical. I swear, it's the solution to so many different sicknesses that I get. But it's especially useful for a sore throat. you should definitely try using turmeric if you haven't already. What are some of your home remedies you use for a sore throat? What's your go-to tea when you have a cough or a sore throat? I have to say, this sickness that I have isn't that bad comparing it to other sicknesses that I have had. One time, I remember I had salmonella and I literally didn't move from my bed for 2 whole weeks. Any movements would spin me out and make me feel dizzy and eventually make me throw up. Every food that I ate or smelled would make me feel nauseous. It's so sad feeling nauseous because I love to eat so much. But even my favorite foods, my stomach just couldn't handle. I lost so much weight in those 2 weeks. My doctor told me to stay hydrated and take your medication and stay rested. And eventually you will feel better. There wasn't much else that I could do. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, it's usually very bad. I'm just lucky that I'm at home right now and my family can take care of me in my sickness. Who takes care of you when you're sick? Even the smallest things, like going to the store or cooking a meal or simply making a cup of tea for myself, can be such a struggle. So it's really nice to have my family here to help me. I've been sick in foreign countries before while I'm alone. And let me tell you, it's not nice. I did make some good friends who would help take care of me while I was sick, but essentially, you are alone in a country and you have to go out and buy your medicine alone and make your own tea alone and cook your own meals all by yourself and generally just take care of yourself all alone. Being alone in a foreign country when you're sick did end up helping me in a way. It helped me by making me more independent and capable of taking care of myself. Being sick anywhere is not nice, but I've learned some really useful remedies from different friends, all in different countries. In Portugal is where I met a friend who showed me that turmeric is really good for you. She was from Nepal. She showed me to grab your turmeric and heat it up on the stove in the fire and eat it. And it's a huge boost to your immune system. And it's really good for a sore throat or a throat infection. She also showed me golden milk, milk with turmeric, ginger, lime, and pepper, and honey. And that was a huge aid to my sickness when I needed it. Are there any more remedies that you know of that you can teach me? Maybe some for a headache or a runny nose, maybe some for a stomach ache. For example, my grandma lives in a small town in Mexico, and once I had a really bad stomach ache. So she made me a green tea with lime, ginger, and honey. And she gave me a massage across my belly and back. And it was like magic. All of my pain disappeared. It happened several times now where my grandma has so many natural remedies, home remedies. I don't think she ever would need to buy pharmaceutical medicine. And it's not good to take antibiotics all the time because sometimes a sickness will go away with time, but sometimes it's so hard to wait out a sickness. So I just resort to antibiotics for faster and easier results. It's very bad to do because you can build immunity to antibiotics after a while of using them. But I can't help it, especially if it's during the week when I have to teach. When I teach, I talk and I smile and I laugh, and I can't be a good teacher if I'm in pain. It's the same when I used to go to school. When I was younger, maybe around 8 to 15, my parents worked at the same school that I studied at. So whenever I would get sick, I had no other option but to go to school. I couldn't stay at home because both of my parents worked at the same school as me. So instead, I would stay in my mom's classroom under her desk, and I would lay there and sleep. I remember her students would see me and say, "Whoa, who's that? Is that your daughter, Miss Jessica? What's she doing under the table?" Meanwhile, I was just laying there, feeling so sick and having a really bad fever. But it was a better option than being in my own classroom with that sickness. When you were a kid, who would take care of you when you had to stay home from school? Tell me about your experience as a kid with sick days. I used to hate going to school despite feeling so sick. But I understand now that work is time-consuming, and it's a big deal to take even one day off of work. What do you think? When do you decide it's worth taking a sick day off of work? Where do you draw the line between going to work and needing to stay home from sickness? Comment all your answers down below so I can see your progress. Like this video for more content like this, and subscribe to improve your English every Monday and Wednesday. Now I'll repeat everything faster so you can practice in a slow and a fast way. I've been feeling really sick lately. I think it has to do with my trip to Rio, Brazil. Normally, whenever I get sick, it has to do with the quality and amount of sleep that I've been getting. And just keeping up with my rest in general is very important for me to stay healthy. But now that I think about it, I don't think I even got one full night rest in my whole week in Rio. And I'm usually very sensitive when it comes to my sleep schedule. If I don't get a full night's rest, I'm crabby all day, and I just become insufferable to be around. I get very crabby when I don't get enough sleep. And especially with my English lessons, I need to have a lot of energy to be in a good mood and to be able to give a fun and structured English lesson. This one weekend, I pulled an all-nighter. To pull an all-nighter means to stay up all night. Have you ever pulled an all-nighter? I did. And let me tell you, I will not do that again. I was tired the whole week after that one night of not sleeping enough. I literally couldn't function. I would wake up in the morning, I would have breakfast, and I would teach, and maybe 5 hours later, I would be feeling exhausted, ready to sleep again. So I would have to take a nap, either a 1 or 2 hour nap, just to recuperate. Then I would wake up and feel energized again. But only a couple hours later, I would be feeling exhausted again. It was crazy. It was like I had an insane amount of sleep debt. We call it sleep debt when you basically owe your body rest and sleep. Just like you can get in debt with money, you can get in debt with sleep. But I finally paid off my sleep debt. That's why, like I said, I would not pull an all-nighter again. But anyways, that's why I think I feel congested. I was doing things every day in Rio, walking at least 40,000 steps a day. I remember checking my phone and seeing at least 40,000 steps every day. And I would be so tired. I would be so ready to sleep, but I would still go to sleep late and then wake up early the next morning. So apart from pushing my body too far, I wouldn't even give my body the chance to recuperate. So I think I pushed my body over the edge, and now I'm paying the price. I'm paying the consequences. That's why I'm congested. I blow my nose, and I don't know how, it never ends. The mucus just keeps coming and coming. And I don't know where it's even coming from at this point. I also had a terrible cough. One of those tickles in your throat that just won't go away. I hate coughing. And after a while of coughing, it starts to hurt my throat. A good remedy for that are cough drops. Cough drops help soothe my throat and relieve the pain. But cough drops are good for relieving the pain temporarily. But for long-term remedies, it's best to take antibiotics. That helps relieve the pain and get rid of the sickness completely. Usually when I get a sore throat and I don't want to take antibiotics, I always try home remedies first. My home remedy for a sore throat is tea, but not just any old tea. I like to make turmeric tea with turmeric, ginger, lime, pepper, and honey. This tea works like magic. Turmeric is just magical, I swear. It's the solution to so many different sicknesses that I get. But it's especially useful for a sore throat. You should definitely try using turmeric if you haven't already. What are some of your home remedies for a sore throat? What's your go-to tea for when you have a cough or a sore throat? I have to say, this sickness is not that bad comparing it to other sicknesses that I've had in the past. One time, I had salmonella, and I literally couldn't move from my bed for 2 whole weeks. Any movements would make me feel dizzy, would make me spin, and I would have to throw up. Every food that I ate made me feel nauseous. And it's so sad feeling nauseous because I love eating food. And even with my favorite foods, my stomach just couldn't handle it. I lost so much weight in those 2 weeks. But my doctor told me to just stay hydrated and take my medication and wait to feel better. It's all that I could do. There was nothing else I could do. I'm just lucky I'm at home right now, and I have my family to take care of me. Who takes care of you when you're sick? Even the smallest things, like making tea for yourself, or cooking for yourself, or going to buy medicine for yourself. It's really nice having people around to help you out, like your family or friends. Because I've been sick before in a foreign country, and it's not nice. I did make some good friends while traveling, and they would help me out whenever they could. But essentially, you're in that country alone, and you have to go out and buy medicine alone. You have to make your tea alone. You have to cook by yourself and just take care of yourself alone. Being alone in a foreign country did end up helping me in a way. I definitely felt a lot more independent and comfortable being alone than I did before. It taught me to fend for myself and to take care of myself. Being sick anywhere isn't nice, but I have learned some really useful remedies from friends in different places in the world. In Portugal is where I made a friend who showed me that turmeric is really good for you. She was from Nepal. She showed me to grab turmeric and heat it up on the stove in the fire and then eat it. It didn't taste the best, but it's a huge boost to your immune system, and it's really good for sore throats. I also learned how to make golden milk, which is milk with turmeric, ginger, lime, and pepper, and honey. And that was a huge aid to my sickness at the time. Are there any more remedies you know for different sicknesses? Maybe some for a headache, for a runny nose, or maybe for a stomach ache? For example, my grandma lives in a small town in Mexico. And once I had a really bad stomach ache. She made me a green tea with lime, ginger, and honey. And then she gave me a massage all around my belly and back. And it was like magic. All of my pain disappeared. It's happened several times now, where my grandma knows so many home remedies. I don't think she would ever need to buy pharmaceuticals. I know it's not good to take antibiotics for sore throats all the time, because sometimes it will eventually go away on its own. But sometimes it's so hard to deal with it that I just resort to antibiotics. It's bad because you can build immunity to antibiotics after a while, but I can't help it sometimes, especially if it's during the week when I have to teach. When I teach, I talk and I smile and I laugh, and I can't be a good teacher if I'm in pain. It's the same when I used to go to school. My parents always worked at the same school that I went to as a kid. So whenever I would get sick, there were no other options but to go to school. I couldn't stay home because both my parents worked at the same school as I went to. So instead, I would have to stay in my mom's classroom, under her desk, and sleep. I remember her students seeing me and saying, "Whoa, who's that? Is that your daughter, Miss Jessica? What's she doing under the table?" Meanwhile, I was just there, with a terrible fever, feeling sick and bad, just trying to sleep. But it was definitely better than being in my classroom learning. When you were a kid, who would take care of you when you had to stay home from school? Tell me about your experience as a kid with sick days. I used to hate going to school despite feeling so sick. But I understand now that work is time-consuming, and it's a big deal to take even one day off of work. What do you think? When do you decide that it's time to take a sick day? And when do you decide that you can still go to work even though you're sick? Where do you draw the line? Hello, welcome back to my Slow English podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about a story I saw the other day while I was riding on the bus. I was riding on the bus with my mom. We were going to Starbucks to work. On the bus, there was a little girl, maybe around 4 or 5 years old. She looked very sweet. She was dressed in pink from head to toe, and she was with her mother. She was playing games and laughing with her mother. But then the mother had to leave. She had to stop and get off for work. So her mother handed over her daughter to her grandpa, and the little girl started crying and crying her eyes out. She didn't want her mom to leave. But eventually, the little girl was carried away by her grandpa. She said bye to her mom and she left. It reminded me of when I was a little girl, and I could sympathize with the feeling of missing your mom so much. When your mom is literally the whole world for you. When you're a little girl, that's the feeling you have. And you can't go even a few hours without your mom, let alone a whole day without your mom. So you just miss her and think about her all day long. It made me tear up a little bit on the bus because it reminded me of when I was a little girl, and it reminded me of how fast we all grow up. One day, you're crying because your mom went to work. The next day, you don't think about your mom for days or maybe even weeks. Our parents grow up so fast, and we grow up even faster. Before you know it, we're all grown-ups. living our own lives. I'm sure every mom remembers when their daughters would cry or their sons would cry when they had to leave for work. And sometimes I wish I could go back to the days where my only worry was, when is mom coming home? Let me know if you enjoyed this bus story. This is a more advanced level story, but it's something I enjoy speaking about with you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any nice bus stories you would like to share. Try and follow along as far as you can go. Today, I'm going to be interviewing and asking questions to my sister, Brianna. So, first of all, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Norfolk, Nebraska in the United States.
And what was your childhood home like?
My childhood home was very American, wooden houses. It was a 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom with a basement because where we lived, there were a lot of tornadoes.
Did the basement ever scare you?
As a kid, yes, it did scare me a lot. When it came to going to bed or turning off the lights, I would always run back up the stairs so monsters wouldn't get me.
And did you have a favorite toy or stuffed animal when you were younger?
When I was younger, I did have a favorite toy. It was a stuffed toy cat. It was a Persian cat. She was white and fluffy, and I loved her a lot.
And what was your favorite thing to do as a child?
My favorite thing to do as a child was probably swimming. We enjoyed swimming a lot. Wherever I lived, there was always a public pool nearby. And we'd spend all day long when it was summer over there.
Mm-hmm. And who did you enjoy hanging out with the most when you were younger?
I don't know. I enjoyed hanging out with my sister a lot. We have a 2-year age difference, and we always got along really well. It was always a great time.
Mm-hmm. And where do you think your favorite childhood memories have been?
My favorite childhood memories have probably been in my second house, which was a house in Iowa, 1 state over from Nebraska. And that house was a little bigger. It was I think 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And I was really excited to move in. So was the rest of my family. We created a lot of memories with my cousins and with new friends.
And what was your favorite holiday to celebrate as a child?
My favorite holiday was probably Christmas. Christmas was always a big deal from where I'm from. It is a very Christian community, and there was always a big fuss about it. Lots of gifts, lots of dinners, lots of parties. It was a great time.
Mm-hmm. And what has been your favorite present you've ever received on Christmas?
My favorite present was probably when I got a Ken doll and a baby Barbie doll, so I could finally have a whole family for my Barbie dolls.
Mm-hmm. And why did you enjoy playing with Barbies?
I enjoyed playing with Barbies because I've always loved storytelling, I feel. And with Barbies, you can be anything. You can create anything. So it was always fun that there were no limits to what I could do.
Do you remember any places that you dreaded visiting when you were younger?
I can't remember now.
Maybe a dentist or the doctor or maybe even school.
A place I dreaded as a kid.
So the $1 million question.
I know.
What was the place you dreaded visiting when you were younger?
I dreaded visiting. It wasn't so much my grandparents' house, but in the back of my grandparents' house when I was a kid, there is a chicken coop. and they had a few roosters. And the roosters were always really mean and would chase me around and pick at my legs. So I didn't dread my grandma and grandpa's house, but I dreaded seeing the roosters.
Okay. And what was your favorite thing about going to your grandpa's farm?
My favorite thing about going to the farm was probably, I have two favorite things. I enjoyed seeing the animals around the farm, especially the pigs, the baby pigs. And I also really enjoyed being inside my grandparents' house because my grandma's house had a lot of toys, and that was really fun.
And what was your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject has probably always been math or science because they're my strong suit, and it was something I could also always comprehend and find beauty in.
And what was your least favorite subject in school?
My least favorite has probably always been social studies and history. I do like social studies and history, but I kind of like to choose the topics that I want to learn about, and I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary information in history classes. Hot take.
Hot take. Did you play any sports or have any hobbies growing up?
Growing up, I had hobbies like swimming, volleyball, mostly sporty hobbies. I did want to get into musical hobbies, but I only ever got to play piano for a few years.
And what type of musical hobbies would you have wanted to get into?
I probably would have wanted to try violin, possibly drums. I feel like my sense of rhythm is probably the weakest thing as far as my musical expertise goes. So something in that area would have been nice.
And did you ever get into trouble at school? Were you ever the troublemaker in school?
Not really. I was a pretty good kid. Maybe you were a little bit of a troublemaker.
A little bit more than you, I guess.
A little bit more.
But what's a moment that you can remember where you got in trouble at school? Something memorable.
I can't remember specifically trying to get into trouble or being bad, but I do remember one time when all the students were having a water balloon fight. I don't know, I think somebody just brought water balloons to school and we were all fighting. But for some reason, I was singled out and told that I can't be doing that or I'd get written up, and was threatened to talk to my parents about it. But I mean, everybody was doing it, so I wouldn't say it was necessarily a troublemaker thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You've never gotten into trouble. I can't even think of a time.
I know.
I have a few examples that I could think of, but I don't think you have any. What was your favorite meal or snack as a kid?
My favorite snack has probably always been, and I get hated on a lot for it, celery with peanut butter. I think it's one of the best snacks. It's fresh. You can eat it in the summer, in the winter, like whenever. And yeah, probably celery and peanut butter sticks.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Oh, I guess that would be another one of my favorite snacks. But now if I eat Flaming Hot Cheetos, my stomach really hurts.
Did you have any chores at home?
I didn't have many chores, but I had the basic ones, doing dishes, taking out the trash every once in a while, and just making sure the house was picked up.
How do you think childhood today is different from when you were younger?
Well, obviously a big difference is how technology-centered childhood is nowadays. Most kids have iPads, phones, or at least are exposed to it. And in my time, the most contact I ever had with technology was through the TV. But even then, my access to TV was limited to 1 or 2 hours a day. So I think there's not a lot of creativity and not a lot of outdoorsiness to the fun that kids have today. It's a lot of being inside and on the phone.
And what was your favorite show when you had your TV time?
When I had my TV time, I would love to watch Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, and probably also The Amazing World of Gumball, Regular Show, and SpongeBob every once in a while. those were probably my top favorites.
SpongeBob's a gem. And what advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to not be so afraid, that it's okay to show who you are and that people are going to love you for it.
Nice. Now, what do you think has been your favorite age and why?
My favorite month.
My favorite month
your favorite
is
age?
what's
And
the...
or was it a month?
Your perfect date.
I'd have to say April 25th, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Sorry, ask me again.
So, what has been your favorite age and why?
My favorite age, I probably didn't have a favorite age, but rather a favorite moment, which was when I was about 12 years old. And we had to move to Mexico with my entire family. It's my favorite moment because I feel like it was a pivotal moment in both of our lives, and it changed us and our family for the better.
Good age. Good answer. So can you explain what pivotal means?
Pivotal comes from pivot, which is a sharp turn. So it turned a
Big
lot.
change.
Yes, it was a big change.
A pivotal change.
Pivotal.
All right. Now, if you could go back to one specific moment in your childhood, what would it be? What moment would you choose? It could be like a Christmas or, I don't know, a time when you went ice skating or...
I remember for one Christmas, I came down a little too early. It was about 6 a.m, and I came down and saw the tree and saw that there were no gifts. And I was very sad, and I went back upstairs, and I fell asleep for a couple more hours, and when I came down, I saw there were presents under the tree. And that's when I started to suspect what we all know. So I would have sent myself back to sleep, probably.
So you would go back to that moment to send yourself back to sleep?
Yes, to keep the magic going.
I meant like return to the feeling of the moment.
Oh, well, I thought you were
like you would want to experience
going
that
back
again.
in time. I thought that's what it meant.
No.
Well, now I got to think about that one. I would probably try and go back to, I believe it was my 8th birthday. I don't remember a lot, but whenever I see a photo of it, it just really brings up a warm, fuzzy feeling. My grandma had cooked me a lemon cake for my birthday, and they were visiting in our house, and I think I invited 2 of the neighbors that we had around, and I was with my sister, and it was a really nice time. It was a simple but fun birthday.
Nice. Well, thank you, Brianna, for joining me on my Slow English podcast.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Follow for more slow English and like this video for more content like this. Continue practicing with the rest of my podcasts and videos. All my links for Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are all in the link below. Comment down below what your favorite topic was. Bye.